The millionaire is shocked to see a black beggar woman bring her crazy daughter to an interview. Ryan's eyes snapped wide open, jaw dropping as the scene unfolded right before him on the crowded New Haven street. A black beggar woman, ragged clothes barely holding together, dragged her wild-eyed teenage daughter through the chaos of rush hour. The daughter's hair, a tangled, fiery mess, and her frantic pacing screamed desperation. The woman's voice cracked as she shouted, begging strangers for help. This was no ordinary poor mother. No, it was a spectacle, and the millionaire couldn't stop staring. Grace's weathered face was full of fierce dignity, despite the grime and worry. Her sharp eyes darted left and right, hunting for a miracle. The city noise crashed around them, blaring horns, screeching brakes, but their story cut through the chaos like a knife. Ryan felt a strange pull in his chest. Who were these people? What storm had pushed them so hard? Then the moment almost turned to disaster. Jasmine, the daughter, bolted right into the crosswalk without a glance. A screaming car skidded toward her. Heart pounding, Ryan lunged, yanking her back just in time. His hands shook as he held her breathless, trembling on the sidewalk. The crowd gasped, whispers spinning like wildfire. "Crazy kid," someone muttered. "Look at her maw, what shame!" Another voice hissed, "Why's he wasting time on them?" Ryan saw the deep fear etched on Grace's face. "Please," she pleaded, voice breaking. "My girl, she's got a shot, a real chance at that talent show interview. We gotta get there." Something inside Ryan cracked. His boardrooms, his cold deals, his loneliness, all faded. He nodded, relief and confusion twisting together. Why was he, a man wrapped in gold and power, chasing after two strangers with nothing but wild hopes? As they moved through the city's pulse, Jasmine's voice surprised him. She sang, pure, raw, impossible to ignore. Ryan's stiff walls broke down as her music poured out. Fire and pain and beauty all at once. But the tension between Grace and Jasmine was raw, cut deep like a wound refusing to heal. Grace's sharp words, Jasmine's angry silence, they hated needing each other, but couldn't escape the tangled mess of love and hurt. Ryan felt the ache hit hard. Wasn't that the same fight he'd been running from his whole life? Then, out of nowhere, Jasmine whispered a secret so heavy it knocked the air from Ryan's lungs. Something dark from the past, scandalous, dangerous, a link neither of them wanted revealed. It could ruin him. Now, the stakes soared. Was Ryan ready to risk his entire empire for them? Could he step into their chaotic storm? Or would he retreat to his quiet, empty fortress? The talent show loomed just ahead. Tension thickened like fog. Ryan's mind spun. What did he stand to lose? What might he finally find? And just when Jasmine readied herself for the spotlight, a shadow from her past slid silently into the room. A stranger who knew every secret, every hidden fracture. The crowd held its breath. The night was about to explode. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to tell you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like that really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Ryan's heart raced as he watched Jasmine take the stage, the spotlight shining down, illuminating her like a star. The crowd buzzed with anticipation. But then, a loud commotion to the side drew his attention. He turned, eyes widening as a figure pushed through the audience. Dark, tall, and wearing a hood that concealed everything but a sharp jawline. Grace's. No, not him, she gasped, grabbing Ryan's arm, her grip tight as fear radiated off her in waves. What's happening? Ryan asked, confusion spiraling. He didn't know this man, but the tension in Grace's voice foreshadowed something sinister. Suddenly, the figure stepped forward, pulling back the hood. A gasp rippled through the crowd. It was Aaron, the man from Jasmine's past, the reason for the chaos. His presence felt like a black cloud, darkening the vibrant energy of the talent show. Jas, he called, voice like ice, slipping through his perfect, polished demeanor. Thought you could escape me? Ryan felt a tug of anger and fear. What does he want with her? His instincts screamed danger, but he was also drawn to Jasmine's fire, the rawness, the beauty, the desperation. Jasmine hesitated, her confidence faltering as the shadows swallowed her. No, please, you can't be here. Her voice trembled, cracking like fragile glass. Aaron advanced, pushing through the crowd. Whispers erupted around them, people recoiling, shock painting their faces. Get away! Grace shouted, stepping protectively in front of her daughter, her voice fierce but shaking. You have no right to be here! Ryan watched as the past slammed into the present. Memories, secrets hidden beneath layers of grief and betrayal, surged forward. The hidden link, buried deep, stood at the forefront of this dangerous reunion. The air felt thick, a storm brewing. This isn't over, Jasmine, Aaron sneered, his eyes dark and determined. You can't run from family. You think you can leave? Think again. What do you mean, family? Ryan snapped, stepping forward, poised to defend Jasmine. But as the words slipped through the air, cold realization struck him. The weight of the dawning truth pressed against his chest like a leaden weight. Grace, trembling, whispered, barely loud enough to hear, "He's not just anyone. He's your brother, Jasmine." Shock rippled through Ryan. They were tied by blood. This chaos, this storm, it ran deeper than he ever imagined. His vision blurred, heart pounding in his ears. What? The crowd quieted, everyone hanging on to every word, disbelief washing over them like a tidal wave. Jasmine stumbled back, her voice escaping her in a rush. "No! You can't be serious! You—" Aaron took a step closer, his voice low but intense. "Your father wanted to keep you safe, but I know the truth. I won't let you ruin everything. Not now." Jasmine's whole body shook, tears quelling in her eyes. "You don't understand," she gasped. "I just want to sing." "To be free?" Ryan felt rage flare. Who was this man, wielding family like a weapon, threatening to unravel everything? Truths that had been buried began to claw their way into the light, and the ugly past threatened to drown them all. The tension snapped, leaving nothing but silence, heavy and suffocating. All eyes turned to the trio, caught in the maelstrom, the audience unsure of what to do next. Ryan felt his empire crumbling, brick by brick. The foundation of his life rattled by the raw connection between broken souls. He stood at a precipice, ready to plunge into a storm, questioning everything he knew. Would this reveal tear Jasmine's dreams away? Or would it breathe air into their shared hope? The moment hung suspended in time, teetering on the edge of chaos. And just like that, everything shifted. As Jasmine took a deep breath, ready to step into the spotlight, a sickening chill swept through the room. The door swung open, and a tall figure stepped inside. A man with D. Everything froze. The whispers swelled like a storm. People leaned in, eyes darting between the stranger and Jasmine. Ryan's heart raced, his instincts screaming danger. Who is he? He thought, grip tightening around Jasmine's arm. Dad, Jasmine whispered, voice trembling. The words hit Ryan like a punch to the gut. Her father? But she'd never mentioned him. A rush of confusion flooded over him. Why had she kept this from Grace? Grace's face transformed. Shock, anger, terror. Get away from her, she shouted, stepping protectively in front of Jasmine. But the man only smiled, cold and calculated. You think you can shield her, Grace? You don't even know the truth. Ryan's pulse quickened. The crowd was buzzing, casting judgmental glances over the unfolding drama. Every heartbeat echoed like thunder in Ryan's ears. He felt the divide between him and the chaos, sharp and unyielding. No, Jasmine's voice broke through, fierce and desperate. You're not supposed to be here. Why? Because you want to pretend like you're normal? Just a beggar and her crazy daughter striving for dreams? His laughter was dark, slicing through the tension. You think this talent show will change anything? It won't. And I'm ready to show the world exactly who you are. Ryan's mind spun, the gravity of the moment crash landing in his chest. He felt trapped in a web of secrets. What did he know of Jasmine? What did she have to hide? The room spun as Grace shouted, "Stop lying! You were never here for her. You just want to drag her down with you." But fear laced her voice. Jasmine smolder. La fiera svedicación interna en su fragilidad. Ryan could sense the chaotic pull tra ellos, el amor por los años de ausencia y resentimiento. Con un reto extraño, el extraño se acercó a Ryan, las manos directas penteadas. ¿A qué tú crees que te vengas a apoyar al equipo? Te me tendrá en tu problema. How did this man know him? How was he wrapped in this tangled mess? Stay away from my family, Ryan ground out, shoving the fear aside. But the man just leaned in closer, a smirk creeping onto his face. Family? What a joke! You don't know the real Jasmine. You think she's a sweet dreamer? You don't know she's a nightmare waiting to be unleashed. Gasps echoed. Murmurs erupted in the crowd, confusion and curiosity mixing like oil and water. Jasmine's face blanched, words caught in her throat. Ryan barely processed the words. What truth lay buried beneath the surface? What nightmare was this man threatening to unleash? Just as Jasmine opened her mouth to respond, the man reached into his pocket, pulling out an envelope, holding it up like a trophy. Ryan's stomach twisted. Whatever was in that envelope, it had the power to undo everything. Jasmine's eyes widened in horror. "No, you can't!" But she was too late. The room fell silent, all breath caught in the air. Lights flickered, a hush blanketing everyone. The weight of uncertainty pressed down hard. What truth would come to light? What connections would shatter? Ryan felt his heart pound against his ribs. Everything he thought he understood, every bond he formed, now teetered on the edge of a knife. The night was far from over, and the shadows were only beginning to reveal their secrets. Jasmine's heartbeat thundered in her ears as the man with dark glasses loomed over them. Panic washed over the crowd like a tidal wave. Breaths held, eyes wide. "You can't be serious," she shouted, voice cracking, fear vibrating through every word. The man lifted the envelope higher, the audience straining forward, desperate to glimpse what lay within. This is your ticket to the truth," he said, icy satisfaction in his tone. "You think you can keep your past hidden? That it won't come back to bite you?" Grace's face twisted with worry. "You've lied long enough," she yelled, stepping closer, desperation flaring in her eyes. But the stranger only smirked, his confidence like a dark shroud, encompassing everything. Ryan felt the pressure build around them, choking him. "What's in that envelope?" he demanded, moving forward, instinctively protective. Jasmine was shaking like a leaf caught in a storm. "It's not for you, millionaire. It's about her," he snapped, pointing a finger at Jasmine. "Her whole life has been a lie, and I'm here to expose it." The crowd murmured, whispers buzzing like angry bees. Ryan couldn't stand it anymore. He had to defend her. "You're not scaring her," he shouted. But his voice faltered under the weight of uncertainty. What did this man know? Jasmine's eyes glistened, flickering between fear and a brave fire. "I can handle this," she stated, voice steadier than before. But inside, her resolve was fragile. "What do you want?" Aaron leaned closer, the predator savoring its prey. "I want you to know who you really are, Jazz. Your life isn't your own. We're connected by blood, and blood means responsibilities." His voice dripped with darkness. A chill coursed through Ryan as the depth of that statement sank in. Suddenly, it felt like the ground beneath him was shifting. Questions echoed louder than ever. Was he standing next to someone completely different from who he thought Jasmine was? "Jasmine, please," her mother cried, voice thick with fear. Shh! But the stranger's laugh sliced through, mocking the bond between them. "I know your past, Grace. You think hiding is enough? The truth won't stay buried." Jasmine took a step back, her face pale, like she was suffocating. "No, I don't want to know," she whispered. But the damage was done. A fracture formed. Aaron leaned in, eyes glittering with wicked intent. "And you didn't want to know that your real mother is a rich, famous singer who abandoned you? The real question is, will you keep running, or will you confront the truth?" Gasps filled the air, collective disbelief. Ryan's mind whirled, and he felt the world shift around him. Was it possible? Could Jasmine be... No! Jasmine yelled, shaking her head violently. "That's not true!" But her denial felt weak against the force of reality colliding with fantasy. "And I'm here to collect the price," Aaron added, voice low, shadowy. "Your freedom for her past." The words hit Ryan like a punch, and he saw Jasmine's eyes widen in horror. "Wait!" Grace shouted, stepping forward, hands trembling. "You don't own her! This isn't a transaction!" But Aaron just laughed. "This is the only way, my dear. Time to face who you are, Jasmine. And I promise you won't like it." The lights flickered again, tension crackling in the air, hearts thundering. Ryan stood at the edge of chaos, grappling with the enormity of it all. What did this mean for them? For Jasmine's dreams? As the audience sat in breathless astonishment, another figure suddenly burst through the entrance. It was a woman, elegant, with dark hair cascading like a waterfall, eyes piercing. Jasmine's mother? No, it couldn't be. "Stop!" she shouted, her voice commanding, heavy truth pouring from her lips. Ryan's breath caught. Who was she? What could she possibly want to reveal? The storm was only beginning. Secrets waiting to unleash a whole new reckoning. What did Aaron really want? And would Jasmine's world ever be the same again? The crowd shifted, air thick with anticipation as Jasmine stepped to the front of the stage. Ryan's heart raced. This was the moment. He could feel the weight of Grace's hopes pressing down on him. Jasmine closed her eyes, her voice ready to take flight. But just as she opened her mouth, a figure slipped into the room. A stranger, dressed in a crisp suit, looking completely out of place. The noise of the audience faded. Whispers began, and Ryan felt the blood drain from his face. The stranger's eyes locked onto Jasmine, and it was like time paused. Who was this man? "Jasmine!" His voice sliced through the air, demanding and unyielding. Her gaze snapped to him, shock etching her features. "Who are you?" The stranger took a step closer, a smirk creeping onto his lips. "You don't recognize your own father?" Gasps erupted from the crowd. Ryan's world tilted. This was the twist he never saw coming. The truth wrapped tightly around his chest, squeezing the air from his lungs. A father? How was that possible? Jasmine's eyes filled with confusion and anger. "You're lying! I don't have a father!" "Think again, sweetheart. I've been looking for you." His voice dripped with something dark, something menacing. The crowd pressed closer, hungry for the drama unfolding before them. Grace's face paled, trembling with a mix of rage and despair. "Get away from her!" she screamed, stepping forward, fierce and protective. But Ryan stood frozen, caught between the whirlwind of emotions. The vulnerability of Jasmine, the fear in Grace's eyes, and the smirk of this stranger, now wielding the power of a secret lost to time. "What do you want?" Jasmine shouted, voice cracking. "You've been gone my whole life." "Oh, I came to give you what you deserve," the man replied, all smooth charm. But Ryan sensed the underlying menace. "You're a star in the making. With my connections, we could make magic happen." "Magic?" Jasmine spit the word like a curse. "You think I want anything to do with you?" The stranger laughed, a cold, hollow sound that sent chills ricocheting through Ryan. "You don't have a choice, sweetheart. We can make a deal." Ryan's stomach churned. The stakes surged. Was this man really Jasmine's father? What did he want? Suddenly, the spotlight didn't feel warm anymore. It burned hot, exposing all the raw, hidden truths. Grace's eyes darted between Jasmine and the stranger. "You don't know anything about her. She doesn't need you," she shouted, stepping protectively in front of Jasmine. The tension snapped, rippling through the crowd, who held their breath, caught between hope and horror. Just as Jasmine opened her mouth to respond, the stranger produced a small envelope and tossed it onto the stage. It landed, white paper stark against the dark surface. A letter that could shatter everything. "What's that?" Ryan demanded, stepping forward. "Proof," the stranger said, eyes glinting. "Proof that she belongs with me, a world where she shines. The truth isn't what you think, Ryan." The name hit Ryan like a punch. His name pulled into the chaos. It was all unraveling, and the crowd buzzed with whispers, confusion swirling like a storm. "Enough!" Jasmine cried, slamming her fist on the set. "I have to hear it. I need to know." Ryan felt the air thicken, pulse racing. What had he stepped into? What lay hidden inside that envelope? And as Jasmine picked it up, every eye in the room fixed on her. He couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. Would she open it? What answers would it bring? The night was charged with questions, with fears lying just beneath the surface. In that moment, it felt as if the world was teetering on the edge, waiting for a single push to see just how far everything would fall. Jasmine took a deep breath, her heart racing as she faced the stage. Ryan stood beside her, his chest tight with hope and fear for something he could barely grasp. The talent show buzzed with excitement, anticipation crackling in the air like electricity. Suddenly, the doors swung open. A tall, well-dressed man stepped into the room, his presence commanding silence. He scanned the crowd, eyes piercing, and Ryan felt a chill dance down his spine. Something about him felt off, like watching a predator step into a flock of unsuspecting sheep. The whispers started. "Who is that? What does he want? Why is he here?" Unease rippled through the audience. Ryan's instincts kicked in. He shuffled closer to Jasmine, who looked frozen, eyes wide and unblinking. That's when he realized this was no stranger to her. "Jasmine," he said, voice strained. "Do you know him?" A flicker of recognition crossed her face, followed by a shudder-like closing off. I can't." She shook her head, hands trembling at her sides. The man moved toward them with an unsettling calm. Ryan felt every muscle tighten, every heartbeat pulling him a tiny bit closer to panic. It was as if the whole world had shrunk down to this one moment. The looming figure, Jasmine's terrified eyes, the whispering crowd buzzing around them. "Jasmine," the man called out, a twisted smile forming on his lips. "It's been a long time, hasn't it?" A wave of murmurs cascaded through the audience, confusion mixing with curiosity. Ryan struggled to understand. Who was he? Why did he have this hold over her? Grace stepped forward, her voice cutting through the tension like a knife. "You need to leave," she shouted, hands balled into fists. "You have no right to be here!" The man laughed, a low, unsettling sound. "Oh, but I do. You see, Jasmine has something that belongs to me." Fear surged through Ryan, his stomach flipping. What could he possibly mean? "What do you want from her?" he spat, taking a step forward protectively. The man tilted his head, feigning innocence. "Why, nothing really. Just to remind her of her past. The past that you all seem so keen to forget." He turned his gaze back to Jasmine. "Remember that talent you have. Remember where it comes from?" Jasmine's face paled, courage draining from her features. "No, please," she whispered, eyes darting between Grace and Ryan, panic rising like a tidal wave. "Your mother kept it from you, but I think it's time you learned the truth," he said, voice dripping with malice. "You think your art comes from struggle? It comes from blood." In that harrowing moment, the ground beneath them shattered. A secret, buried in shadows and silence, erupted into the open like a volcano of devastation. Suddenly, everything Jasmine believed, the dream she held, the pain she felt, hung precariously on the balance of this man's words. The crowd buzzed with disbelief. Gasps echoed, voices overlapping in shock. Ryan's heart raced, each thump drowning the noise around him. The pieces fell into place like a jigsaw that had never quite fit together. A darker reality lurking beneath the surface of their lives. What had Grace shielded her daughter from? What truth could overwhelm their fragile hope? Jasmine stepped back, the world around her twisting. Breathing turned shallow as her mind raced. Could this stranger's revelation change the course of her dreams? But before anyone could react, a loud crash resounded as the lights flickered. The shadows danced maniacally, further intensifying the moment. Chaos erupted, a whirlwind of bodies pushing and shoving, panic spreading like wildfire. Within the chaos, Ryan turned to find the stranger gone, vanished into the throng. But the weight of his words lingered, thick and suffocating. The questions hung in the air like an uninvited guest. What had been unleashed? Could Jasmine reclaim the bright spark of her dreams? Or were they forever dimmed by the shadow of her past? The crowd held its breath. Jasmine stepped closer to the microphone, tension taut like a bowstring. Ryan felt his heart drum in his chest, each beat amplifying the weight of the moment. Grace stood at the edge of the stage, her face a mask of hope tinged with fear. But just as Jasmine opened her mouth, a figure burst through the doors. A man, tall and imposing, scanned the room. His eyes locked onto Jasmine, dark and seething. A hush blanketed the audience, confusion palpable. Who was he? What storm had he just walked in from? "Jasmine!" he bellowed, voice crackling like thunder. The word sliced through the air, heavy with accusation. Panic flared on Grace's face, her hands curling into fists. Ryan's stomach dropped. "Stay away from her!" Grace shouted, instinctively stepping in front of her daughter. The crowd shifted uncomfortably, whispers swirling around them like angry bees. "You have no right to be here!" The stranger's lips twisted into a smirk, a cruel twist that sent shivers down Ryan's spine. You think hiding her will keep her safe? I know your secrets, Grace. I'm not the only one. Each word dripped with venom, and the air thickened with dread. Jasmine staggered back, shock etching her features. What do you mean? Her voice trembled. The strength from moments before evaporated like a wisp of smoke. Who are you? Not just a stranger, darling, he said, taking a step forward. I'm the one who knows what you really are. A reminder of the bridge you tried to burn. The details you tried to hide. He glanced around at the audience, a sea of eyes widening in disbelief. The truth about your father. The truth about you. Ryan felt like he'd been stabbed. So Jasmine's father was alive? But how could that be? Everything he believed about her, everything he thought she was, crashed down like a shattering glass. Grace's voice shook. Don't you dare say his name. The fierce, protective mother stance was there, but her voice was tinged with something darker. Fear? Regret? Ryan could see how the cracks in her armor deepened. Grace was crumbling. What are you hiding, Grace? Ryan demanded, taking a step closer. What does he mean? His mind raced, piecing together fragments of the truth from the chaos around him. The hints, the small moments of tension between them, secrets buried deep, hidden for too long. The man's grin widened. Maybe I should tell the world how your life was built on lies, Jasmine, he taunted. You're just as lost as your mother, dragged down by her mistakes. The stark accusation hung in the air, charged and electric. Jasmine's face paled, a storm brewing behind her eyes. Breakfast conversations, shared laughter, everything felt like a lie now. Layers peeling back to reveal something rotten underneath. How could she trust anyone? And then, without warning, a flash of recognition struck Ryan like lightning. He stepped back, the implications crashing in waves. No! No! He whispered, feeling the blood drain from his face. It can't be. Jasmine turned to Ryan, desperation in her eyes. What's happening? The innocent plea shattered him. He wanted so badly to protect her, but the floodgates of truth were opening. More secrets, more lies. Could he stand firm against the tide? The man's laugh echoed, a dark melody of victory. You thought you knew them? You thought you could fix their mess? He leaned closer, a predator relishing the hunt. You're in over your head, millionaire. The truth will ruin you all. The night felt colder. The chance of the talent show slipping through their fingers like sand. As Jasmine teetered on the edge of the spotlight and reality tore apart at the seams, Ryan realized he was already entangled in their secrets. A part of a web spun from desperation and betrayal. With the crowd holding its breath, the night was on the cusp of calamity. What secrets would shatter their fragile connection? And what devastating revelations lay just beneath the surface, ready to explode? Just as Jasmine picked up the envelope, the air thickened with tension. The stranger grinned, waiting for the moment to crack open her world, to expose everything she feared. Ryan's heart raced. Would she unravel? Would her dreams shatter before their eyes? Open it, Jasmine, he urged, taking a step closer. But she hesitated. A flicker of doubt tugging her back. Just then, a deafening crash rang through the room as the doors burst open once more. This time, a police officer stormed in, breathless, eyes darting around like a hawk searching for prey. "Everyone, stay back!" he shouted, but chaos unraveled instantly. People scattered, gasps echoing off the walls. The sudden panic mirrored the wild rush in Ryan's heart. What was happening? "Am I too late?" the officer called out, eyes fixating on Jasmine. "You need to come with me!" "What?" Jasmine's voice quivered, eyes wide with disbelief. "Why?" "Because," he said, stepping closer, "there's been an incident. You're in danger." The surprise shifted to utter confusion. The crowd echoed in disbelief. Murmurs rippled. What danger? What incident? Before Ryan could grasp it all, Grace stepped forward, hands clutching Jasmine's shoulders like a lifeline. "You're not taking her anywhere." Her voice was fierce, but laced with fear. "Ma'am, you don't understand," the officer insisted, urgency lining his words. "We don't have time to explain. It's about your father." The mention of Jasmine's father ignited a firestorm of emotions. Ryan felt the tension spiral tighter. "What's happened?" he demanded, stepping forward, feeling the crowd shrink back instinctively from the whirlwind. The officer caught his stare, resentment flickering in his eyes. "You need to back off, sir. This is a police matter." Then he turned back to Jasmine, urgency thickening the air once more. "Your father, someone has made threats against him. You're not safe around here." Shock slammed Ryan as he felt the truth hit him harder than any blow. Jasmine was connected to this danger. Was her father really the cause of chaos? What did that mean for her? "No, I can't leave." Jasmine's voice broke, anguish clear as she pulled back, fighting against her mother's grip. "I won't! Today is my moment!" But the urgency electrified the room. The world grew distant, every face faded, except for Jasmine's. Eyes, bright and glistening like stars, tinged with fear. "Listen to me," the officer urged, squeezing her hand urgently. "They know where you are. If you don't come meet us, I can't promise your safety." In that frightening heartbeat, another figure emerged at the back of the crowd. A woman, strikingly familiar. A pang of recognition sliced through Ryan. She looked just like Jasmine. The same intense eyes, the same wild hair, but worn and hollowed by years. The rift between past and present echoed through the room. "Jasmine!" the woman cried, pushing her way through the crowd, voice thick with desperation. "You have to come with me, now!" Jasmine froze. "Who are you?" "I'm your sister. I came to find you." The impact of the words slammed into Ryan like a freight train. Jasmine's sister? Everything fell silent as the new wave of shock rippled through the audience. "Your father is in danger," the woman continued, urgency radiating as she reached Jasmine. "You need to come with us." "They're after him, and they'll come after you too." No one could breathe. The crowd stood motionless, holding its collective breath, caught in the whirlwind of secrets tumbling out one after the other. The stranger from before fell back, disbelief spreading across his features. This can't be true. But it was. Ryan felt the pieces of Jasmine's life crumbling, revealing a darkness he'd never imagined. Who was her father? What kind of world had she stepped into? "Are you ready for this, Jasmine?" the officer asked, voice now surprisingly soft. "Because it changes everything. I see something. Today is no longer just a talent show. Jasmine stood frozen on that precipice, caught between the promise of her dreams and the dangers lacing her past. What would she choose? The crowd began to murmur as reality hit fast. The truth rippled like stones thrown into still water, and as Jasmine's attention turned back to the envelope in her hand, it felt like the world was about to implode. So much hung in the balance now. Everything they thought they knew was unraveling, leaving a terrifying, tantalizing question lingering in the air. What would happen next? Jasmine stood there, the envelope trembling in her hands. Fear wrapped around her heart like a vice. Her pulse raced as she looked into her sister's eyes, searching for answers that eluded her. The frantic chaos of the crowd faded into nothing. It was just her sister, and the truth that hung in the air, suffocating and heavy. The officer's gaze flicked between Jasmine and the new woman, a mix of concern and determination. "We need to move now," he urged, voice rising over the rising panic. But Jasmine shook her head, opening and closing her mouth, the weight of everything crashing down as the questions piled up. "Stop," she finally yelled, a crack in her voice. Just tell me what's happening." Before anyone could respond, a deafening crash echoed from the back of the room. A heavy shadow lunged through the crowd, barreling toward the stage. Ryan's heart dropped as the figure emerged, the dark-suited man from before, now desperate and wild. "Jasmine!" he bellowed, eyes darting around. "You have to come with me! It's not safe!" "What?" Jasmine's voice wavered, caught between disbelief and fear. "Why should I trust you?" Grace stepped forward again, all instincts flaring. "Why are you back? What do you want?" she demanded, every muscle in her body tense. The man didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked past Grace, straight at Jasmine. "It's about your father. About the threat," he said, urgency lacing his words. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Ryan's chest tightened. His mind raced. Trust? The specter of betrayal tightened its grip. What kind of danger was they entangled in? "Why is it always about him?" Jasmine snapped, anger flaring, making her breathe hard. "What does he want from me?" "Everything," the man yelled, "and if you don't come with me now, he'll come for you. He's already hunting you down, and you don't even know it." Lightning struck in Jasmine's eyes. "Hunting me? Why? What did I ever do?" Before the man could respond, the lights flickered, plunging the room into darkness for a heartbeat. Gasps echoed, but then the emergency lights kicked on, casting an eerie glow across the scene. It was in that instant all eyes turned back to the doorway where a startling flash illuminated a new figure. A woman, her breath rigged, panic etched on her face. "Get down! Everybody, get down!" she screamed, her voice sharp as glass, slicing right through the tension. Panic erupted like a fireball. People dove for cover, the crowd scattering in a frenzy. Ryan's instincts kicked in. He grabbed Jasmine's arm, pulling her behind him, heart racing. The woman charged forward, her dark hair wild, eyes pulsing with venomous energy. "Why is she here?" Jasmine shrieked, tugging away from Ryan's grip, confusion morphing into anger. The woman's expression shifted, as chaotic as the current around them. "Because she's the key," she shouted, as if it were the simplest thing in the world. "You don't understand who you're dealing with." "What do you mean?" Jasmine cried, voice breaking, mingling fear with the sharpness of betrayal. In a startling flash, The other man raised a hand. Too late, too slow. Jasmine's sister lunged forward just in time, shoving the officer aside. A crack rang out like thunder as the woman whipped around, the gun glinting under the emergency lights. Time stopped. Everything froze. "Wait!" Ryan shouted, but he was drowned out by the chaos. Jasmine's eyes went wide as the world warped into terror. Before anyone could move, the shot echoed, thunderous and violent. A sharp twist of fate sent a ripple through the crowd. Everything exploded. Jasmine stumbled back, her world shattering, emotions crashing like waves. The man who had been shouting crumpled to the ground, eyes wide, the shock spiraling into confusion. "No! No! No!" Jasmine screamed, collapsing beside him. Hands trembling, blood pooling around them like a nightmare come alive. In that crushing moment, the truth unfurled like a dark cloud. Who really was her father? Why had their lives entwined in such a twisted dance? Ryan stood frozen, heart pounding. The questions swirled, the situation ice cold. Was this man truly the threat? Or were they tangled in something much deeper? Jasmine clutched the envelope, horror dawning, the night morphing into something far uglier than dreams or talent shows. Would the revelation tear them apart? Would it extinguish any hope of light? As the darkness seeped in, another loud crack ricocheted through the space. But this time, it was not a gun. It was the sound of shattered dreams echoing through the night, and the truth still shattered on the horizon. Jasmine knelt beside the fallen figure, the quiet chaos of the room fading to a dull roar in her ears. Her heart beat in a panic, hands trembling as she shook him gently. "No, no, no, please don't do this!" Tears streamed down her cheeks, mixing with the shock in the air. The crowd was a mosaic of horror and disbelief. Some turned away, others stood frozen, capturing the moment in their minds like a dark photograph. Grace's eyes were wide, mouth an O of shock as she moved closer, stepping into the surrounding silence. "What have you done?" she breathed, confusion wresting control from her protective instincts. Jasmine glanced up, anger flaring with pain. "I didn't do anything. I didn't want this." Her voice was raw, a fragile echo of humanity fighting against the tide of fear. She turned back to the man on the floor, breathing hard, as if her own breath could somehow revive him. "Someone call an ambulance!" Ryan shouted, his own voice strained as he pushed through the crowd, the frantic energy coursing through him. Heart racing. He struggled to reconcile what he had just witnessed. The night torn apart by secrets unraveling in blood. A moment passed like an eternity. The police officer knelt beside them, quick and purposeful. "He's alive! Keep pressure here!" he instructed as he started checking for a pulse. "Help is on the way." Jasmine nodded, a flicker of hope igniting in her chest, but then the weight settled back down. Everything was flipping. Dark truths, bruised hopes, they all swirled together, barely visible through the fog. She could feel the distance forming between her and everyone she once thought she knew. In that chaos, Jasmine's sister drew closer, urgency sparking in her eyes. "We need to go. This isn't over," she said, glancing nervously at the door, where shadows threatened to loom larger. Go? After this? Jasmine's voice was a mix of disbelief and defiance. You want me to run? Yes, the woman insisted, voice intensified with fear. If they find out, this whole thing will only escalate. We can't let it. It's not just about you anymore. It's about the family they want to destroy. Ryan felt a surge of conflict and instinct. He didn't want to let Jasmine go. He couldn't bear the thought of letting her be pulled into whatever darkness haunted them all. No, you don't have to leave, he started. But Jasmine's gaze caught his, clear and full of strength. I have to face this, she declared. I'm tired of running. I can't live in fear. As she spoke, 2 officers rushed in, their presence grounding the chaos. What happened? We got reports of a gunshot, one barked, surveying the scene. With courage surging, Jasmine stepped closer to Ryan, her sister at her side. It's about time we uncovered the truth, she said softly, nodding towards the motionless figure on the ground. Whatever it takes. A sinking silence replaced the panic as the gravity of her words hung in the air. The night had become something different, a reckoning that felt inevitable. This was only the beginning. But as the police began instructing everyone to step back, Ryan felt an ice-cold grip enclosing his heart. Corcone. Would the truth shatter the fragile bond they formed? Could love withstand the storm rolling in? In this moment of uncertainty, everything seemed on the brink of collapse. Every secret straining to escape, every hidden truth ready to unfold. Fate had twisted the night into something much darker. And as Jasmine's eyes met Ryan's, he read the determination mixed with fear. What awaited them all as the spotlight dimmed? Don't wait another second! This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately so you won't miss the upcoming exclusive stories that will take you deeper into this wild ride. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep our amazing community alive. Don't forget to flood that comment section with your reactions and theories. Let's hear your thoughts on this jaw-dropping ending. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to experience this ending. Your support makes all the difference, so join the journey.